Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty. Here at you with you again with another vlog. If you haven't met me already, I'm almost 40 years old. I've been living on my own for 6 years, and I've held a part-time job for over 15 years. Uh, we're still here, we're still going, and as much as federal leaders want to destroy autism in us, it did not destroy me or my family. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. You know, we've read the comments this week. We've seen it mostly in the American media that autism destroys families, and that autism the autistic people won't do many things such as pay taxes, live independently, um, you know, write a poem, go to on a date, hold a job, use a toilet unassisted. And while the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I won't even mention his name because I don't feel like it, and I don't feel that I can honestly do that on this platform. He retracted his statements to say that was only the profoundly autistic, which is 26% of the population, according to a book I recently read. Um, it still hurt, and I think it did a disservice when you come out in a public platform and on a platform such as yourself as a government cabinet member and say those things that are hurtful, and you generalize those comments. And when you say it breaks families, it may break families, but it's not a generalization. It made it feel as if autism was back in its 1950 state or in its 1960 state when many autistic people were institutionalized. Um, you know, you know, we you can look back at the films, like Temple Grandin, for example, or the PBS story of Donald Triplett, both individuals who were non-institutionalized and who had families that chose not to be broken and didn't give up either. They were very, those individuals were very successful and did many things. Many individuals are successful. I have been able to do most of those things that the Secretary of Health and Human Services says that we as autistic people cannot do. And I do pay taxes if they're payroll taxes into society. In fact, I file my taxes every year on my own. And even that question was brought up by my financial coach this week. Why aren't you taking advantage of the services, that are provided to you to help with your filing of your taxes? And I'm like, well, I can do it on my own, and I get a refund faster. And I'm very blessed that I'm able to do it. And I'm blessed to work and blessed to have a home of my own. And, with the way things have turned out in my family in the past year, I am truly blessed to have my own home because it could be a very precarious situation if it didn't turn out that way. Sometimes we think, you know, and to the fact that, even my mother and I have had the conversation yesterday about, did autism break us? Did it damage us? Did it make us a bad people? Well, no. It's a family that never gives up. It doesn't come with an instruction manual, and a family that never gives up. That's a Carrie Magro quote there. If you haven't heard it, I think I did just a quote of the week a few weeks ago. And, there were times my family wanted to give up, but they didn't. They persevered, they fought through the challenges, and there were some challenges. You know, we talk. I read today Autism Out Loud. I finished reading it. It talks about things like IEPs and placements and group homes and things like that. And those were things that, we contemplated for a minute. From me having, and I've been in inpatient units and residential treatment facilities. Those are things that families oftentimes don't want to do. They don't want to make their autistic individuals vulnerable to those things. And it doesn't necessarily break families. It just doesn't destroy them either or damage them. We're great people, and I'm truly blessed to have the family that I have, that was able to get me through those rough storms. And I can tell you, early on, and even as everybody knows, puberty wrecks autism like crazy. We got through it and we came out better because of it. And while I resented my mother for some time because she made decisions that I didn't agree with, I now know that it was for the best. And, sometimes, you don't realize those things until later on in life, or you don't understand, those you're truly blessed. And, you're thankful you can do many things. Autism, as we say, is a spectrum. It could have turned out differently for me. And there were many milestones that I had to climb, and many other people on the spectrum and had to climb and still climb today to get to where they are. Um, you know, it's interesting because even it didn't damage our family, and we've been a blended family for many years, and you know we just keep on going. And even as I turn near 40, and I dear hate saying that so much, but we keep going and we be our best self, even though, it can be hard sometimes. The world throws you a course of action all the time. And how look at everything, how you go through everything. But, and there were times, that I too wanted to give up and think I'm damaged or I'm broken, but I'm not. I'm truly a blessing, and I see that every day. There are people out there who want me to live every day, and they count on me to do things and be there for them, and I think that's what keeps me going every day and being my best self every day, regardless, of what some high-ranking government official says about autism, even though it backfired big time on them. You know, we can come out strong and be fighting as fierce as we ever can be as autistic people. Whether we can speak or communicate in one way or another or none at all, we are people, we are humans, we deserve dignity and respect. We deserve to be loved and cared for, as just as like any other human being, and sometimes it makes you even open, you realize at people who aren't even autistic, who need care, and you think, what do they think about those people, or the people who can't take care of themselves? What does that make you? What does that make you look like? What does that make you think about them either? Yes, autism has came around, and it's been around for since 1943, and it has, it may have damaged some families, but it didn't damage every family. And I don't know if I want to find the cause of autism or not. That might be something I don't want to know about, or want to see, or want to know that is what it causes it, because you don't want to feel that regret. You don't want to feel that sorrow that you're feeling about something, or that you're the anger or the upset you're feeling. Um, it's just, I think you're opening up you're digging a deeper hole, or opening a bigger can of worms when you think about these things. And while, it is costly, and everybody and government is always looking to look at managed spending when it comes to services, I think there has to be a more dignified and a more better way of looking at it than just saying it damages people. That's very hurtful and very upsetting to people. And when us as autistic people hear those things and hear those clips of things we can't do, or things, that's wrong with us, or that we're damaged or broken, many of us are literal thinkers. And we take things literally and they sting at us and they hurt us, and it brings down our self-esteem. It brings down our value and it's hard for us to realize that. But then we realize that, sometimes some of us, when we get through the literal stuff and we understand it's just somebody's opinion, somebody's thoughts, and that we can't value them, even though, they are in their position of who they are. um, you know, we know what we've done in our life to get better, to come through the burdens that we've been through, to climb the ladder that we've climbed, to get to where we are today. We're better, and we've been through so much in life. And even I, as I again, like I said, in a couple months I'll be 40. The life that I've been through as an autistic person, not even being properly diagnosed until I was 13 or 14. And being where I am today, that speaks of itself, and it speaks volumes. It can speak volumes because I know there are files in a basement of a building in our county with everybody's cases, and all that history is packed in that file, and it can show us a glimpse, a big picture of my life, and how things were, and how they've became to what they are today. And you can look at all the notes and documents that have been produced in decades of living, and see the improvement that continues to happen. Now, that's not to say it happens in everybody, and disappointing negative news is always hard to hear. It's difficult to hear. As an autistic person, it's especially difficult to hear. But but it's also knowing what to delineate, and what to take for value. And sometimes you have to learn what to take for value, and understand that you are valuable, you are loved, you are enough, you matter, and you belong on this world. Like my mom said, I was a gift from God. Now, not everybody may see that, but I do, and my mother does, and many people do. We're not broken, we're not damaged. Yeah, those words were hurtful, but we move on and we carry on with ourselves. So I think that's all I'm gonna say about it, because it kind of still tears at me. But I wanted to get a vlog in this week, and I wanted to feel I had to say it. So with that, have a happy Easter, everyone. And before we go, we'll go through our credits. Um, Thank you for listening and watching. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Twitter. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And lastly, I'm on Linktree. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty under Linktree. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Be sure to take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend. And if you're celebrating Easter tomorrow, have a happy Easter. We'll talk at you soon. Bye for now.